Okay, this PowerPoint supports business and economics. Level 1, we're looking at types of producers. The objectives were to describe the producers that you encounter today. It's the lesson. Explain the difference between public and private sector as a bit of a revision, and also describe the different types of the producers. First off, okay, so remember from yesterday, a producer, individual group of people who combine those resources, those factors of production in the production process to obtain output, and the output in the shape of goods and services. So production, as we can see the resources go in, they go through the production process, and out come the goods and services. So resources are inputs, goods and services are the outputs. So in the types of producers, we have two distinct categories. We have private sector and public sector. So our private sector is run by private individuals, and these can be broken down into firms, cooperatives, and voluntary organisations. The common one we're really going to be focusing on in business studies is firms. Public sector is basically those organisations which are owned and run by the government. Okay, so they can either be run by central government, like the governmental departments and ministries, or it can be like the local government in terms of local councils, that sort of idea. Okay, so private sector, so firms. First off, these firms, they can be operated by one person, they can be 2 people, 3 people, a whole different combination. And they can even be huge multinational corporations. So we're very much familiar with those big, large multinational corporations because of their reputation and their marketing. The bottom line, as is the profit is important. They need to make a profit to stay in operation and to exist. Okay. The key thing is very often privately owned businesses must aim to be efficient and competitive to be able to stay in their market and compete. Cooperatives, on the other hand, is slightly different. They are owned by their members, and their members may be set up by groups of producers, as in Frontera, or groups of consumers, the example of Southern Cross Healthcare, or it could be savings cooperatives. Okay, so it's a type of banking. So they're there to directly benefit their members. So any sort of profits that these cooperatives make go back to their members. So that's what cooperatives. Voluntary organisations, goods and services not provided for by firms, probably because they don't make money. Firms or the government, not for profit, but if you think of these things, their objectives are very much not profit driven at all. They'll be to do with creating a good service or to be raising the profile of these organisations. So the public sector, excuse me, these are owned by the government, as you mentioned before. They're funded by taxpayers, and there isn't really a motivation to make profit in it because this isn't what they're all about. These are all about making essential services. So from a government point of view, just think about what do you know about the government? What party is in government? Who's the Prime Minister? Where's the Parliament? What exactly does the government do in terms of looking after these organisations? And how does the government pay for the goods and services it provides? So from a local government point of view, who's the mayor? What does the local government do? Okay, what type of goods and services do they provide? So as a bit of a thinking task, what's a New Zealand example of a cooperative? A good or service provided by the central government. What is an example of a New Zealand firm? What is an international and a New Zealand charity? And finally, what is a private sector producer?